Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to Cooking with Aram, and today we're going to be making carrot cake. So, I wanted to make this recipe for a pretty long time, so I just came to the point saying let's do this right now because I really wanted to make it. So here we are. So, as you can see here, I have a bowl of carrots, and I just grated 4 big carrots. I grated 4 big long carrots, and I put them in a bowl, and that's how it is. So moving on to the dry ingredients. So now we're putting in 2.5 cups of plain flour. And we're just going to be sieving that into the bowl. Just keep sieving, just keep sieving. Okay, then after that we're going to be adding 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of allspice, and in allspice there is 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 4 cloves of cardamom, raw ginger, and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. After that, we're going to be adding soda bicarb, which is 1 teaspoon. Add soda bicarb. Good. Then we're going to sieve them all together in the bowl. Okay, after that, we're going to be just stirring it all up, just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to leave that to the side, and we're just going to be focusing onto the wet ingredients. Time for the wet ingredients, yay! Okay, so now we have 1 cup of brown sugar. Yes, sugar is a wet ingredient because it dissolves in water, so it's a wet ingredient. Anyways, 1/2 cup of white sugar, and then we're going to be adding 3 eggs. Crack 3 eggs in the bowl. So that's the second egg we're cracking right now. Don't crack any shells in it because shells are not nice. And here's the third and final egg. Okay, now we're going to be mixing that all up. So and then we're going to be adding 1 cup of oil, but we're going to be adding that little by little while we're mixing it. So we're going to be adding that little by little into the mix. So, okay, so after we mix them all up, we're gonna be reintroducing the dry ingredients. Come out, dry ingredients, welcome. And now we're gonna be pouring a little by little of the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients, and we're gonna be mixing them all up, basically combining them too. So we're just gonna mix them two up. Okay, so we're going to be adding more of the dry mix into the wet mix. So we're going to be adding them to until we get a consistency of the cake batter like peanut butter. Like peanut butter, like thick like peanut butter. So we're going to be mixing that. We're still going to be mixing that. And this is the type of consistency that you want. Thick like peanut butter. And now we're going to be adding orange juice, but it's made from 2 oranges. And then we're going to be adding 1.5 tablespoons of ginger. And then a zest of 1 orange. And then we're going to be folding that into the mix. So now we're going to be adding the carrots because you can't have carrot cake without carrots. Basic knowledge. Yay! So we're going to be adding the carrots into the carrot cake mix, and we're just going to be just stirring them all up, mixing it all up. Yeah. Just keep mixing, just keep mixing, just keep mixing. Just keep mixing, just keep mixing. Oh yeah, you also have to preheat the oven at 350 degrees Celsius and bake the cake batter for 20 to 25 minutes. Yeah. Okay, so we're dividing the cake mix into 2 tins. We're going to be dividing the cake mix into 2 tins. Line the cake tin with baking paper or parchment paper, or you could just spread it with oil or butter. Okay, so after we divided the cake mix into 2 tins, we're going to be putting them into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Bake them for 20 to 25 minutes. So into the oven they go. Into the oven, you're gonna be so beautiful. Okay, so after they baked for 20 to 25 minutes, after they baked, I just removed a bit of the top layer of one cake because that's going to be the bottom layer of the 2-layered cake. We're making a 2-layered cake, okay? So that's the bottom, and the one that's with the cut top is the bottom, and the other one is the top. So enough of that, let's set aside, and we're concentrating on the icing. So right now we have butter, half a cup of butter at room temperature. And now we're adding 12 ounces of cream cheese. You can add Philadelphia, you can use Philadelphia cheese or any other type of cream cheese, whatever you want. So they both have to be at room temperature because it's going to be quite hard to mix if they're frozen. So now we're going to be mixing them all up. So we want to mix the cream cheese and butter together so they're creamy and fluffy because that's the perfect consistency. Yeah, that's a perfect consistency for the icing. You want it to be light, fluffy, and creamy. Okay, so now we're going to be adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to be adding 1 cup of sugar, but we're going to be adding it slowly into the icing. We're going to be adding little by little into the icing. Keep on tasting the icing, by the way. When you're mixing it, keep on tasting it because you might add too much sugar, you might add too less. So yeah, you want to get the perfect amount of sweetness. If you add I don't want to add too much because it'll burn the back of my throat, and I hate that. I usually have a sweet tooth, but if I made it too sweet, it'll burn the back of my throat. So we're going to keep on mixing it till it becomes really creamy and really light and really soft. Okay, so when the icing is done, we're going to get our cake, the bottom layer, and we're going to be coating that in icing, covering that in icing. And now we're going to get the top layer. We're going to get the top layer and we're going to put it on top of the cake, upside down, because we want the top surface to be flat. And then we're going to put a generous amount of frosting on top, so we can spread it all the way around. We can spread it all the way around. Just spread it. Just keep on spreading it everywhere. Everywhere. Spread it everywhere. Anyways, after we cover the whole cake, yes, I know it looks a bit messy, but we're covering the sides with walnuts. So it'll pretty much be covered. So you don't have to worry about the sides. It's okay if it's messy. If it's messy just a little bit. Okay, so this is the final product. The cake turned out pretty fluffy, really moist, and really spongy, and I love it so, so much. This is like one of my favorite cakes to make, and I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. Anyways, bon appetit, I love this!